to Merriam-Webster dictionary, it's a wrongful or criminal deception intended to result in financial or personal gain. Now, this definition is a bit broad, as I believe I've lied several times to get some sticky situations, if you will. And, being a high school kid is quite a couple of those. Now, fraud is something a bit more malicious than lying about being sick to stay out of school. It's something that can affect the person's life, their finance, their emotion, and most importantly, their sense of security. Now, why is this important? Now, you might be thinking, why should I care? This doesn't affect me. Now, fraud accounts for 19% of the $600 billion to $800 billion in waste in the U.S. healthcare system annually. The median loss caused by fraud in the study was $145,000. Additionally, 22% of all the cases involved losses of at least $1 million in company and stock frauds. 10% of Americans have been victims of credit card fraud, so like out of 10 people one of them have suffered with credit card problems. The median duration, the amount of time from when the fraud commenced until it was detected, was up to 18 months, which is a really long time. Now, I believe that this affects us because it hits our healthcare system, it hits our jobs, it hits us, our family, our friends, our neighbors, and the scary thing is, due to the low knowledge of frauds and scams, these things don't get reported or detected until way later than it should be. Now, fraud is a problem we face in America. Now, why do we fall for scams? Before we start, I want you guys to give a basic understanding of just why we fall for scams. Scams all work on the basis of appeal, such as appeal to fear, the thought that if you were to do this, something would happen to you, something malicious, of course. Ignorance or inexperience, like you're not quite sure what to do with the subject matter. The relations, I'm talking about emotional leads, and your trust. Greed is just making a quick buck. Everybody likes a quick buck. Now, all the scams that I'm gonna be talking about later on will include at least one of them, so try to guess along as we go, okay? Now, what we're going to talk about today in our presentation, we're going to focus on what is the scam, as in how it works, what to look out for, how to prevent it, and finally how to protect yourself and your family from this scam. Now, vishing and phishing. Now, most of frauds fall under these two categories. Well, at least ones we face. Now, especially the next four scam that I'll be talking about, they're both fraudulent attempts from the con artists to obtain your information, with phishing focusing on emails and mail, and vishing focusing on phone calls and soliciting. There's also the category of farming, where hackers install malicious codes and such. Just know that there's a lot of ways for a con artist to obtain the information, and cause damage using that information. First off, the emergency scan, also known as the grandparent scan. It usually involves someone acting as a family calling you for emergency and telling you that they're in trouble. Now, the trouble can be with the law, they might have gotten into an accident. In any scenario, they work on your emotions and your worriness for your family member. A key point of the scam is that they demand you to wire the money to them right away. This ensures that they get to you while you're still worrying, and there's less of a chance of them being traced. The key thing to look out for is the randomness of the scenario. These people will try to call at a later time when you're more off guard, and tend to target the elderly, as they are more prone to fall for this. Hence why it's called grandparent scan. When encountering this kind of scam, you must not act rashly. take a step back and think. Make sure this is actually your family member calling, and try to avoid wiring money, as once it's wired, it's like sending cash away. It's difficult to trace. Now the tech support scan, it's where a con artist would call you to help you with your computer or technical problems, or they would say that you have a technical problem. Now they usually pretend they're from like a legit company such as Microsoft or Mac. Heck, even Sony gets in on there once in a while, usually with fake number ID that supports the whole visual. They would then tell you that they received a message about a problem with your computer and will offer to help, perhaps by installing a certain program that would later turn out to be a malware, or ask for your credit card to do a service such as like a scan or like a sweep or reboot. Those usually just simple things that you probably could do all by yourself. Now, I actually had a recent encounter with such a scan. This 800 880 9889 is the caller ID of such a group of con artists. And they pretend to be Microsoft and have numerously asked if they can help me on my computer. Now, the key to the scan is just being able to recognize it. Be especially cautious of anybody on the phone asking for credit card information or access to your computer. These are all red flags. Also remember that these guys can spoof their caller ID, so even if it says it's from Microsoft, it might not be from Microsoft. And once you recognize the number, block it, as they tend to call you several times harassing you. Congratulations! You won a prize! Click here to claim it now. We'll just require your credit card number and social security number to make sure you're the right person. Hurry up before it's too late. You've probably seen these ads as you're surfing through the web, or in your email, or in your mailbox. These are the sweepstakes scans. They inform you that you've won a prize that you never signed up for, and usually require you to relinquish your personal information or set a down payment to receive your prize. They're official looking and impressively decently well done, such as those car scratch off flyers that you get in the mail, where like almost where you win a prize every time. I've gotten 6 of those in the past 2 months, and I won every time. Maybe I'm just that lucky, or maybe it's just trying to lure you in there to look at the cars. Now, the key to protecting yourself against this kind of fraud is to be a bit suspicious of this stuff. Usually if things just sounds too good, it probably is. Make sure you never relinquish your personal information, and know that it is illegal for a company to require you to pay to play or claim your prize. Now, I bet many of you guys have seen that television show on Catfish on MTV. The one where they date someone online and decide to meet in real life, but find out that the girl's a guy and the guy's a pig or something like that. Well, basically, these scams are all based off of social networking. They're heavily using that as an interface to reach out to the potential marks. The con artists will usually create a fake account using pictures they found off the internet and try to get close to you. Maybe they're a high school friend you haven't met in a while, a distant family member who just got a Facebook today, or heck, even a smoking hot. Well, you get what I'm talking about. You get what I'm talking about. You know what I mean. In case, they will try to get closer to you, leading to eventual conclusion where they usually ask you for a favor. Now, this favor can range from signing up for amazing service that they just happen to be using, or maybe their grandmother has just got a horrible disease and she needs immediate medical attention, but the medical cost for such a transaction, such a surgery would just be too high, and I love my grandmother so much. Or something like that. In case, these scams tend to target those who are a bit on the lonely side. You know, those who are vulnerable enough to get attached. You should always check if a person is actually who they say they are. You know, especially if you planning on getting into like intimate relationship. I'm talking about face-to-face, Skype, Google Hangouts, and FaceTime. Also be cautious if the person asks for personal information or a big favor, as these are all red flags. Now, online transaction scams. With the internet nowadays, it's been easier than ever to sell stuff online and, you know, just have a wider range of options and stuff. Now, you should be aware of the stuff they're selling. Online transaction scams range from the sale of fraudulent products where you receive is like nowhere close to the product that you thought you were gonna get, or they're just plain right off with your money and just never give you the product. Now, these scams mostly happen on self-selling websites. I'm talking about Craigslist, eBay, heck, even Amazon sometimes. Now, with Craigslist, you have to be extra careful because criminals have been using it as a way to meet up with someone and then mug them. It's horrible. Now, always check the credibility of a vendor. There's usually always a rating for a vendor on eBay or Amazon. If you're meeting someone, do it in a public area and check if the product is stolen. There has been cases where people sell stolen iPhones off of Craigslist, and they're locked and shut down because the previous owner has used Find My iPhone. And actually, if you buy one of those phones, technically speaking, you're also committing a crime. And if the original owner decides to fine you, you might get in a lot of legal trouble. Now, misleading websites. There's a lot of different fraud websites, but in particular, I want to talk about the ones that trick by misleading people. When talking about misleading websites, there's usually two of a kind. There's the one with like extremely close name, like something like www.amazona.com, which is clearly trying to be Amazon. Or there's a clickbait advertisement, which might offer you like a service or like a special product of some kind. You know what I'm saying? Now, these usually lead to the download of malicious viruses, which can start downloading like the moment you get on that site, or the lockdown of your browser until you pay the guy. Now, these can usually be carried out by the test manager, or if you just restart your computer. There's also counterfeit websites, which are extremely close to what they're offering, like exactly the same look, and then people will enter their personal information on there thinking they're ordering like a Coach bag, but they're just giving away their credit card information. Now, just learn to recognize these websites. Read the domain name, and if something seems off, don't use the website. Also, stay away from shady websites or advertisements that offer you suspicious things. Like, there's 6 single ladies in the Fredericksburg area that wants to meet up with you. You should click on that now. Those sadly tend to be fake. Now, identity theft. Now, this is a biggie. again, as I was saying, 1 out of 10 Americans suffer from at least one case of identity theft throughout their life. Now, identity rises when a con artist manages to get your personal information and using that personal information commit fraud, such as creating credit cards in your name, taking out loans, spending money on the credit card. Now, this can completely wreck your credit. There's many ways for con artists to obtain your personal information. In fact, a lot of scams we talked about can do that. Not to mention the other countless phishing and vishing scams out there. The key thing is to check your bank and credit statement regularly as to detect if anything is wrong. Now, only by prevention and catching it early can you avoid like major damages. There's also services that kind of deals and help out with these possibilities, such as LifeLock, but they tend to be a bit on the expensive side. But those help. You know, there's a $1 million security if your identity does get stolen. Also, once you find out that your identity's been stolen, contact your bank, freeze your credit card, man. Just basically any institution that is like related to stolen information, shut it all down. And lastly, contact the police so you can file your identity theft report. Now, if you're ever the victim of fraud, and depending on what kind of scam you fell for, call your bank and credit card company. As I was saying, shut down anything that the con artist might use against you, because we don't want that happening. Any scenario is highly recommended that you contact authority and explain to them to the scenario what happened. There's also websites where you can report the scam, such as www.fraud.org and www.nationalconsumersleague.org. Remember that sometimes with fraud, it's just best if you can prevent them, because white-collar crimes such as these have a harder chance of getting detected and chased after. But hopefully, if you do get a scam, you could learn from your experience, and something like this will not repeat in the future. Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for sticking with me. I hope you learned something, and you know, if I can help you not get scammed in the future, I would have done my job. So arigato, and thank you again. Night.